I'm 35, male, and my wife, Emily, 33, female, have been married for 8 years. We met in our mid-20s and built what I believed was a strong, fulfilling marriage. We both have successful careers, own a lovely home, and frequently travel together. I thought we were content until 6 months ago when Emily reconnected with her college friends, and everything shifted. The friend group, Emily, Rachel, Lauren, and Sophie, had stayed loosely connected through social media since graduation, but hadn't spent much time together. Rachel had relocated across the country after her second divorce. Lauren had 2 failed marriages, and Sophie, unmarried, prioritized her career. Emily was the only one in a stable, long-term relationship. 6 months ago, Rachel returned to our city post-divorce, eager to reconnect and rebuild her social circle. Emily was thrilled to revive old friendships and began attending weekly dinners with them. Initially, I was happy she was reconnecting, but the weekly gatherings soon became daily communication. Emily would return home, inspired by her friends' liberated and self-assured perspectives, using phrases like living true to oneself and not compromising on dreams. She started questioning aspects of our life she'd never minded before. Rachel says I've grown too settled in our marriage, Emily shared after one dinner. She says comfort stifles growth, and married women often lose their individuality. I asked if she felt she'd lost herself in our marriage. She wasn't certain, but said Rachel's ideas about marriage limiting self-discovery resonated with her. I encouraged open discussion about her concerns, but she said she needed time to reflect. Over the following weeks, Emily's behavior transformed. She became obsessed with fitness, revamped her wardrobe, and expressed interest in new experiences. She enrolled in courses, bought pricey products, and spent on things she'd never cared about before. Lauren says I've been too cautious, Emily explained. She thinks I married young and missed out on exploring my true potential. She says I've been hiding behind the safety of marriage. Her friend's influence began outweighing mine. When we discussed a trip to Europe, Emily suddenly wanted to backpack solo through South America, claiming solo travel was vital for personal growth. When I suggested traveling together, she insisted it wouldn't serve the same purpose. Sophie never married because she refused to be tied down, Emily said. She's visited 40 countries and built an incredible career by putting herself first. She thinks I could have done the same if I hadn't married so young. The conversations with her friends intensified. Emily spent hours on video calls discussing her path to self-awareness. She devoured self-help books about breaking free from restrictive relationships and joined online communities focused on intentional separation. 3 months ago, Emily suggested couples therapy to address her evolving views on marriage and commitment. Our therapist, Dr. Carter, expressed concern about some of Emily's statements. Emily explained that her friends had been guiding her through deep self-reflection, leading her to question whether she'd settled for marriage too soon. She said she loved me, but wasn't sure if she'd married for the right reasons. Dr. Carter asked what specific limitations she felt in our marriage. Emily struggled to pinpoint examples, eventually saying, "I don't know who I'd be if I were single," and "I've never prioritized myself." Rachel told her married women lose their sense of adventure. Lauren claimed long-term relationships breed complacency, and Sophie suggested marriage meant sacrificing personal dreams for a partner's happiness. Dr. Carter asked if Emily felt she'd sacrificed dreams for our marriage. Emily admitted she wasn't sure what her dreams were, having always focused on us instead of me. Her friends, she said, were helping her reclaim her individual identity. It became evident in therapy that her friends were acting as untrained counselors, dissecting her marriage, identifying issues, and offering solutions based on their own failed experiences. Dr. Carter recommended individual therapy to explore her feelings independently, but Emily dismissed it, insisting her friends understood her better than any professional because of their shared history. She felt Dr. Carter couldn't grasp the unique challenges women face in marriage. 2 months ago, Emily's behavior grew more unpredictable. She started staying out until 2 a.m., returning home raving about revelatory talks with her friends about how restricted her life had become. She scrutinized every detail of our relationship. Rachel pointed out that I always let you choose restaurants or movies, she said. She says that's codependency, and I've lost touch with my own desires. Her friends criticized everything. Our shared bank accounts were labeled financially controlling. Our date nights were deemed dull, and they even suggested our intimate life was inevitably lackluster. Lauren says staying with one person for years kills excitement, Emily told me. She says I'll never experience true passion if I stay in a predictable marriage. Last month, Emily dropped a bombshell. She came home, resolute yet nervous, and announced she needed a break from our marriage to discover her true self. I got married before I knew who I was, she said. I need to explore my potential outside this relationship. Rachel, Lauren, and Sophie helped me see I've been living a diminished version of myself. I asked what a break entailed. She said she needed space to date herself and figure out her life's desires. She'd always been part of a couple and wanted to learn to be whole alone. You're a wonderful husband, she said, but I need to know if I'm staying married because I love you or because I'm scared of being alone. My friends showed me there's a world I haven't explored. I suggested we could explore new experiences together, but she insisted I didn't understand. She needed to do this alone, without my input. That's exactly what Rachel said you'd say, Emily replied. She says husbands always try to fix things within marriage instead of admitting some growth requires total independence. 3 weeks ago, Emily requested a formal separation. She'd found an apartment and wanted to move out to live authentically without marriage's constraints. She wasn't sure if this would lead to divorce, but needed to experience single life. I need to discover who I am when I'm not trying to be a good wife, she said. My friends showed me I've never truly put myself first. When Emily asked how I felt about the separation, I surprised her. You're absolutely right, I said. You should definitely rediscover yourself. I think it's great for you to explore who you are outside marriage and see what you're capable of alone. Emily was stunned by my support. She'd expected me to argue or plead for her to stay. Instead, I emphasized that self-discovery was vital, and I respected her choice to prioritize personal growth. I want you to have every chance to explore your potential, I told her. You should see what single life offers and decide if marriage is truly what you want. Emily seemed almost unsettled by my lack of resistance, but said she appreciated my maturity. She moved out the following weekend with Rachel and Lauren's help, who praised her bravery and empowerment. What Emily didn't know was that I'd begun my own journey of discovery, one that would reveal truths neither of us anticipated. Emily moved into a stylish but overpriced downtown apartment, barely affordable on her income. It was small, costly, and required a 40-minute commute, but Rachel and Lauren convinced her it suited her new, independent lifestyle. The first week, Emily called daily, expecting me to be struggling and pleading for her return. Instead, I was upbeat, encouraging her to embrace her new experiences. How are you coping alone? She asked, probing for distress. I'm doing great, I replied honestly. I'm discovering things about myself too. You were right. We'd both gotten too comfortable. Emily seemed thrown by my positivity. Rachel had warned her I might act fine while secretly falling apart. I reassured her I genuinely supported her journey. Meanwhile, I was exploring my own freedom. Without Emily's new expensive habits, my monthly costs plummeted. I had more time for hobbies I'd sidelined and enjoyed the space to reflect without navigating someone else's emotions. 2 weeks later, I ran into Sophie at a cafe. She seemed shocked to see me looking content. How are you holding up? She asked, expecting a broken man. I'm thriving, I said. Emily was right about us being too comfortable. This separation has been great for rediscovering myself. Sophie looked irritated, as if my happiness contradicted her narrative. I told her I admired Emily's courage to explore her potential. 3 weeks in, Emily's calls grew less frequent and more tense. She was struggling but couldn't admit it without undermining her friend's empowerment rhetoric. "The apartment's really expensive," she admitted. "I'm having to budget more than I expected." I told her learning financial independence was valuable and that constraints could clarify her priorities. She seemed frustrated, likely hoping I'd offer financial help. A month in, my friend James mentioned Emily had been telling people at social events she was newly single and eager to make up for lost time. I told James I supported her openness about her goals. I began researching Emily's friends. Rachel's 2 marriages ended due to her infidelity, securing hefty settlements. Lauren had 4 broken engagements, often rushing into commitments before losing interest. Sophie had never sustained a relationship longer than 6 months and was known for resenting others. Happiness. These weren't women who'd chosen fulfilling single lives. They were people who derailed their own relationships and were now influencing Emily to do the same. 6 weeks in, Emily's social media posts grew frantic. She shared photos from clubs with captions about living her truth. But she looked exhausted and unhappy, spending beyond her means on experiences that weren't delivering the promised fulfillment. I started embracing my own life, sharing posts about my new hobbies, hiking, photography, and home improvement projects. I posted about new restaurants, books, and weekend getaways to places Emily and I had never explored. Unlike Emily's strained party photos, my posts reflected genuine joy in rediscovering my interests. The contrast was stark. "You look really happy," my brother commented. "Separation seems to suit you." I replied that I was grateful for the chance to reconnect with parts of myself I'd neglected, agreeing with Emily that relationships could overshadow individuality. Emily saw my posts and reacted unexpectedly. Instead of feeling empowered by my independence, she seemed unsettled. "You're doing really well without me," she said during a call, her tone sharp. I told her I was proud of how we were both navigating the separation, proving we'd grown into resilient individuals during our marriage. "Rachel says men usually collapse when their wives leave," she said. I chuckled, saying Rachel clearly hadn't met capable men. I mentioned enjoying household tasks and managing the home alone. "You're not lonely?" Emily asked, sounding disappointed. I explained that solitude wasn't the same as loneliness, and that I appreciated the freedom to pursue my interests without coordinating schedules. 2 months in, I confided in mutual friends about Emily's drastic shift without disparaging her. "Emily's questioning whether marriage limited her potential," I explained. Her friends convinced her to explore single life. Friends expressed concern about her new circle and behavior changes, saying they'd tried reaching out but were rebuffed as Emily was too busy finding herself. "Those women are poisoning her mind," our friend Claire said. "Every time I try to see her, they're there, dissecting her marriage." Emily's brother, Tom, revealed she'd been asking family for financial help, struggling with her apartment costs, and complaining about the challenges of meeting genuine people. 3 months in, I hired a private investigator to dig into Rachel, Lauren, and Sophie's backgrounds. The findings were alarming. Rachel had a history of befriending married women, encouraging them to leave their husbands while attempting to pursue the husbands herself, having disrupted at least 3 marriages in her previous city. Lauren had a fraud arrest and a pattern of financial manipulation. Sophie had been fired for creating toxic work environments and was in therapy for sabotaging relationships. All 3 were financially and emotionally unstable, despite their claims of thriving single lives. Rachel relied on credit cards and alimony, Lauren faced eviction, and Sophie was on medication after a mental health crisis. These weren't empowered women. They were individuals who'd undermined their own happiness and were pulling Emily into their chaos. 5 months in, Emily asked to meet for coffee. She looked worn, thinner, with dark circles, visibly anxious. She admitted she was questioning her friend's advice. This separation isn't what I expected, she said cautiously. I thought I'd feel confident, but I'm just stressed and overwhelmed. I validated her feelings, suggesting she reconsider the guidance she'd been following. I presented a folder of documents. You wanted to discover yourself, I said. I thought you might want to discover who's been advising you, too. I shared the investigators' findings about Rachel's marriage-wrecking tendencies, Lauren's fraudulent past, and Sophie's destructive patterns. These aren't women who chose fulfilling single lives, I said. They've sabotaged their relationships and are convincing you to do the same. Emily was stunned, tears welling as she read the reports. Why didn't you tell me sooner? She asked. I explained she wouldn't have listened earlier. She needed to experience their advice's consequences to see their true nature. You wanted to discover your capabilities, I said. I wanted you to learn you're capable of spotting toxic influences and trusting your own judgment. Emily broke down, feeling foolish for trusting them. I reassured her that recognizing manipulation was a valuable lesson. What now? She asked. I told her the choice was hers. I'd discovered I could be happy alone, and if she wanted to rebuild our marriage, it had to be because she truly wanted me, not out of fear. Stay separated until you're certain, I said. Learn to trust your own instincts. 6 months after moving out, Emily ended her lease and returned home, staying in the guest room as we slowly rebuilt our relationship. She cut ties with Rachel, Lauren, and Sophie and began working with a licensed therapist. I thought I was finding myself, she said, but I was just becoming who they wanted. They made questioning our marriage seem strong, but they were making me weak and dependent on their approval. Emily realized she'd been happy in our marriage, and her friends had fabricated issues. They said I was settling, she said, but I wasn't settling. I was choosing. There's a difference between accepting less and valuing something good. Reconciliation took nearly a year. Emily rebuilt my trust by making independent decisions aligned with her values. We set stronger boundaries and improved communication. A year after reuniting, we renewed our vows, surrounded only by those who truly supported us. Emily's vows spoke of choosing love over chaos and building something enduring rather than chasing fleeting thrills. Emily did discover herself, but not as her friends intended. She learned she valued commitment, stability, and true partnership. She found strength in admitting mistakes and maturity in correcting them. The best part of our separation wasn't learning I could live without you, she told me recently. It was learning I didn't want to. It was realizing I chose this life with you, not out of fear, but because it's what I want. Today, our marriage is stronger. We communicate openly, cherish each other more, and are cautious about external influences. Emily's friends thought they were freeing her from a restrictive marriage, but they were trying to pull her into their cycle of dysfunction. They resented her happiness because it highlighted their failures. Sometimes, the greatest self-discovery isn't about chasing new possibilities. It's about recognizing the worth of what you have and protecting it from those who seek to undermine it. Thank you for watching my story. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and press the bell icon. Stay tuned for more real-life stories, get more experiences.